Hello everyone. So in this hour we are going to talk about calorimetry, and 1 hour is sufficient to understand all the cases of calorimetry. Here nothing will be reduced from the syllabus. Everything that is there in the book will be talked about. So without wasting time, let's start calorimetry. So first of all, calorimetry. We need to understand the definition of 1 calorie. What is exactly 1 calorie? 1 calorie is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade, specifically from 14.5 to 15.5 degree centigrade. So amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade. If I ask you, if 1 calorie is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade, if rather than having 1 gram of water, you have got 5 gram of water, and you wish to raise the temperature of this 5 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade, then how much heat has to be given? So you'll say, if to raise the temperature of 1 gram by 1 degree, I have to give 1 calorie, then to raise the temperature of 5 gram by 1 degree, I should give 5 calorie. Another question, if rather than having 5 gram, you have got 3 gram, and now I ask you how much heat has to be given to raise the temperature by 2 degrees centigrade. So you'll say, okay, what is this? This is water. How much? 3 gram. What do you want to do? I wish to raise the temperature by 2 degrees centigrade. Okay. So 1 calorie is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade. You don't have 1 gram. You have got 3 gram. So for each degree rise in temperature, you have to provide 3 calorie of heat. You want 2 degree rise. So the amount of heat that has to be provided is 6 calorie. Similarly, if I ask you, you have got 10 gram of water, and now you wish to increase the temperature of this 10 gram of water by 5 degrees centigrade. Tell me how much heat has to be provided. So as to increase the temperature of each gram of water by each degree centigrade, you have to give 1 calorie. You don't have 1 gram of water here, you have 10 gram. So as to increase the temperature of 10 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade, the amount of heat required for each degree centigrade rise will be 10 calorie. And you wish to increase the temperature by 5. So for each degree centigrade rise, you have to give 10 calorie, 10 calorie, 10 calorie, 10 calorie. How many times? 5 times. So the overall heat that has to be provided is 50 calorie. So 50 calorie of heat will be required to increase the temperature of 10 gram of water by 5 degrees centigrade. Now do remember, specifically 1 calorie of heat is required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade, specifically from 14.5 to 15.5 degrees centigrade. Now how do we convert calorie into joule? Remember that calorie is a bigger unit. We eat in calorie. So we like to take more energy and we like to speak it less. Calorie is a bigger unit. So remember that 1 calorie when converted to joule is equal to 4.18 joule. So 1 calorie equals to 4.18 joule. For the calculation purposes, I will use 1 calorie equals to 4.2 joules. Now the next term we need to focus on is called specific heat. So what is specific heat of a substance? The definitions here are really important. So focus. Specific heat. The specific heat of a substance is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 kg of substance by 1 degree centigrade. So the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 kg of substance by 1 degree centigrade is called the specific heat. So if I say that specific heat of a substance is 2000, it means that if you have got 1 kg of this substance, then you have to give 2000 unit of heat to increase the temperature by 1 degree centigrade. Now let's say I tell you I have got a substance of specific heat 10,000 units. What does this mean? That if you have got 1 kg of this substance, then to increase the temperature by 1 degree centigrade, you have to give 10,000 unit of heat. And I ask you, okay, I have got this substance whose specific heat is 10,000, but I do not have 1 kg, I have got 3 kg. Now tell me how much heat has to be provided to increase the temperature by 1 degree centigrade. So specific heat is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 kg of substance by 1 degree centigrade. Here you do not have 1 kg, you have got 3 kg. For each kg, you have to give 10,000 unit of heat. So for 3 kg, you will have to give 30,000 unit of heat to increase the temperature by 1 degree centigrade. Now I ask you another question. Let's say there is a substance with a specific heat of 200 unit. And let's say the mass of this substance we have is 5 kg. So what is 200 unit? The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 kg by 1 degree centigrade. But we do not have 1 kg, we have got 5 kg. And if somebody asks you what will be the heat provided to increase the temperature by 4, so you will say to increase the temperature by each unit, I will have to provide 5 times of 200 heat. But since we have to increase the temperature by 4 degrees centigrade, so you will have to provide the same heat 4 times. So into 4. So what I am telling you is that the heat provided has to be equals to 5 into 200 into 4, and this gives us the formula. The heat that has to be given is nothing but mass of the substance time its specific heat times the rise in temperature. So Q equals to ms delta T. So if we provide a heat Q and the temperature increases by delta T, the correlation between heat provided, mass of the substance, specific heat and the rise in temperature is given by Q equals to ms delta T, and you should remember it. But sir, this is physics. Here we define everything in the differential format. So rather than saying the heat given equals to mass of the substance into specific heat into the rise in temperature, in the differential format we write the infinitely small heat given dQ equals to mass of the substance times its specific heat times the infinitely small rise in temperature dt. So dQ equals to ms dt. This is the same equation but in differential format. Now the next thing we need to talk about is that how do we write specific heat? We can rearrange specific heat and write specific heat to be equal to dQ by mdt. Bring this m and dt down here. You write specific heat of a substance equals to the infinitely small heat given upon the mass of the substance times the infinitely small rise in temperature dQ by mdt. Now what is the specific heat of water? Sir, we know that to increase the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade, we have to give how much heat? 1 calorie. So can I say that the specific heat of water is 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade? So specific heat of water is 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade. But sir, neither calorie nor gram are the SI unit. If you want the specific heat of water in SI unit, what to do? Rather than gram, you need kg, and rather than calorie, you need joule. But the most commonly used term of specific heat of water will be this one, that the specific heat of water is 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade, because the amount of heat that has to be provided to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade is 1 calorie. So here in place of gram you can write kg. To get kg you will have to multiply 1000 in both denominator and in numerator. So you can write specific heat of water equals to 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade. This is as good as 1000 calorie per kg degree centigrade, and you can write 1000 calorie as 1 kilocalorie. So this can also be written as 1 kilocalorie per kg degree centigrade. Now in place of calorie you can write 4.18 joule. So you will write 1 into kilo into 4.18 joule upon kg degree centigrade. So that gives you 4.18 kilojoule per kg degree centigrade. So this is the specific heat of water in the SI unit. But the most commonly used one will be this first one, that the specific heat of water is 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade. Beta, remember one thing, you need to remember the specific heat of water. Why? Because this is from where the definition of calorie comes. So it is not at all required for them to give the specific heat of water in the question. You should remember it. So specific heat of water is 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade, which is as good as 1 kilocalorie per kg degree centigrade, which is as good as 4.2 kilojoule per kg degree centigrade. So let's move on. Now we will define another quantity which is called heat capacity. What is heat capacity? The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of substance by 1 degree centigrade. Sir, how much substance? 1 kg, 2 kg, 3 kg. We define the heat capacity for an object. For example, let's say we have made a sphere made up of iron. We define the specific heat for iron, but we define the heat capacity for this sphere. I will say to increase the temperature of this sphere by 1 degree centigrade, every time I have to provide this much of heat. So the heat provided to increase the temperature by 1 degree centigrade every time. So we define the heat capacity for a body. So amount of heat required to raise the temperature of substance by 1 degree centigrade. Which substance? Any substance. So if you are providing a heat Q to a body to increase its temperature by delta T, so the relationship between the heat given, the heat capacity and the rise in temperature is given by Q equals to C delta T. Sir, how do you get it? Understand it. If I say that the heat capacity of this particular object is 1000, it means that to increase the temperature of this particular object by 1 degree centigrade, I have to provide 1000 unit of heat. If I say that the heat capacity of this particular substance is 500, it means that to increase the temperature of this particular substance by 1 degree centigrade, I have to provide 500 unit of heat. So beta, simply remember the heat given equals to heat capacity times the change in temperature. Now again you can write this also in differential format, but here I will like to ask you a fun question. If you have a cup of water and if you have a bucket of water, if you have a cup of water and if you have a bucket of water, which water will have higher specific heat? Which water will have higher specific heat? What is specific heat? The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 kg of substance by 1 degree centigrade. Since both of them are water, the amount of heat required to raise the temperature by 1 degree centigrade will be same for both. Hence, specific heat will be same. Specific heat will be same. If I ask you, a cup of water has higher heat capacity or a bucket of water has higher heat capacity. So you will say, sir, the bucket of water has more mass of water. So you have to provide more amount of heat to increase its temperature by 1 degree centigrade. So you will say the heat capacity of bucket of water, is more than the heat capacity of cup of water. So heat capacity do depend upon the amount of substance. So let's continue learning. Comparing with Q equals to ms delta T, we can say that the heat capacity is nothing but mass times specific heat. Heat capacity of a substance is nothing but mass times its specific heat. Now do understand from the cup and bucket example that specific heat is an intensive property. It does not depend upon the amount of substance you have. But the heat capacity is an extensive property. It depends upon the amount of substance you have. Specific heat is same for both a cup of water and a bucket of water, but the heat capacity is different for a cup of water and a bucket of water. Now next thing we need to talk about is called the water equivalent. So what is the meaning of water equivalent? Let's say beta, we have a block of iron. We have to provide some heat to increase its temperature by a certain amount. When I say that I wish to know the water equivalent of this iron block, it means that how much mass of water should be placed here so that on providing the same amount of heat, it shows the same rise in temperature. But sir, why do we even need to find the water equivalent of a substance at the very first place? Because you always remember the specific heat of water, because from that's where the definition of calorie comes. So since we always remember the specific heat of water, it's better to know the water equivalent of a particular substance. So let's say we know that specific heat of water is 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade. And I tell you that we have got here 5 gram of an object whose specific heat is given by 10 calorie per gram degree centigrade. So what will be the water equivalent of this particular body? So you will say, for finding the water equivalent of this particular body, when you provide some heat, the temperature rises. It should be same for both the bodies. So let's say we have to take m mass of water. This particular water will be said to be the equivalent of this body of 5 gram when on providing the same amount of heat, you get the same rise in temperature. So for the body, you will write the equation as heat given equals to its mass 5 into specific heat 10 into delta T. And for water, you will write heat given equals to the equivalent mass of water, which we need to find m, into its specific heat 1 into delta T. So dividing both the side, q get cancelled, delta T get cancelled. So you get 1 equals to 50 by m, or the mass of water that has to be placed is 50 gram. So in place of having 5 gram of substance whose specific heat is 10 calorie per gram degree centigrade, we can think that we have got 50 gram of water. It will show the same rise in temperature on providing the same amount of heat. So what is water equivalent? The amount of water that has the same heat capacity, which shows the same rise in temperature on providing the same amount of heat as the body, is called the water equivalent of the body. The amount of water which has the same heat capacity as the body is called the water equivalent of the body. So you will say the heat capacity of the body has to be equals to the heat capacity of water. The heat capacity of the body can be written as mass of the body into specific heat of body, and heat capacity of water can be written as mass of water into specific heat of water. So the mass of water that has to be placed so as to show the same rise in temperature on providing the same amount of heat is given by nothing but mass of the body into specific heat of the body upon specific heat of water. So this is how you find the water equivalent of any given body. So let's see one example to understand the meaning of these things. The first example. An electric kettle contains 2 kg of water. So how much water? 2 kg of water. It has a power of 1 kilowatt. What is the meaning of 1 kilowatt? So 1 kilowatt means 1000 watt. And what is the meaning of 1000 watt? What is the meaning of 1 watt? Sir, watt is the unit of power. Energy transferred per second, that is watt. So you can think of 1000 watt as 1000 joule per second. So when I say 1 kilowatt, it is as good as saying 1000 joule per second. So an electric kettle contains 2 kg of water. It has a power of 1 kilowatt, heats water at 84% efficiency. So if you provide some energy input, only 84% of that energy input to the kettle is provided to the water inside. Determine the rise in temperature of the water in 10 seconds. So how much will the temperature of the water rise in 10 seconds? So you will say power of this kettle is 1 kilowatt. Yes sir. That is as good as 1000 joule per second. Now the power delivered is 84% of 1 kilowatt. 84% of 1 kilowatt will be equals to 84 by 100, and in place of kilowatt we have written 1000 watt. So here you get beta 840 watt. When I say that the power provided to water will be 840 watt, it means that 840 joules of energy will be provided to water per second. So 840 watt is as good as 840 joule per second. So when I say that the power provided to water is 840 watt, it is as good as saying 840 joule of energy is being provided to water per second. Now in 10 seconds, the total amount of heat provided to water will be, in 1 second you are providing 840 joule. So in 10 seconds, how much heat will be provided? That will be 840 into 10. 840 into 10 will be 8400 joule. Now using 8400 joule of heat, how much will the temperature of water rise? So you will say, sir, Q equals to ms delta T. We have got 2 kg of water. We know the heat provided, we know the mass, we know the specific heat of water. The specific heat of water is 4.2 kilojoule per kg degree centigrade, which is as good as 4200 joule per kg degree centigrade. So we know specific heat, we just need to find delta T. So you will say from Q equals to ms delta T, the heat provided is 8400 joule, and this equals to mass of the water 2 into the specific heat, which is 4200 into the rise in temperature delta T. Now beta 4200 into 2 is 8400. That is the term written on the left hand side. So these two quantity get cancelled. So you get the rise in temperature is nothing but 1 degree centigrade. So in 10 seconds, the temperature of 2 kg of water inside this kettle will increase by 1 degree centigrade. So let's move on. So now let's do a case when we are doing mixing but without phase change. Let's say we have got two substances, and if they are mixed, what will be the final temperature of the mixture? I will like to suggest you a method here which I am promising you is better. Always write the equation. When you are mixing them, you are not at all providing external heat. So whatever heat is transferred is from one body to the other body. We say that the heat given to first body, say Q1, plus the heat given to second body, let's say Q2, has to be equals to 0. Why? When I write heat given to first body plus heat given to second body equals to 0, It means that we are providing heat to one of the body and we must be taking out heat from the another body. Beta, what is happening when you mix? Sir, the one at higher temperature will provide the heat to one at the lower temperature, right? The one at higher temperature will provide the heat to one at lower temperature. So the one who gets heat, for that one the heat given will be positive, and the one who gives heat, for that one the heat given will be negative, and the sum of these two has to be equals to 0 because we are not providing any external heat. So we write the equation as heat given to 1 plus heat given to 2 equals to 0. Now the first system, which has an initial temperature T1, has a final temperature T. So you will write the heat given to first one to be equals to its mass times its specific heat times its change in temperature, final minus initial, that will be T minus T1. Similarly, the heat given to second Q2 will be equals to its mass times its specific heat times the change in its temperature, that is the final temperature minus the initial temperature. So you will write M1 S1 final temperature minus initial delta T plus M2 S2 final temperature minus initial temperature delta T equals to 0. No doubt one of them will be positive and one of them will be negative. Then only their sum can be 0. Now on solving this particular equation, you can find the final temperature. You can say that M1 S1 T minus M1 S1 T1, opening the first bracket, plus M2 S2 T minus M2 S2 T2 equals to 0. So from here, combining the terms of T, taking T common, you get T times M1 S1 plus M2 S2 equals to M1 S1 T1 plus M2 S2 T2. And now you can bring this whole term down here. So you get the final common temperature after mixing to be equals to M1 S1 T1 plus M2 S2 T2 by M1 S1 plus M2 S2. There is one thing that you should keep in mind. The final temperature of the system will be between T1 and T2. The final temperature of the system can't be more than the greater and can't be less than the lesser. What does this statement mean? If let's say you are mixing two objects at temperature of 10 degrees centigrade and 30 degrees centigrade. Notice here I haven't said how much mass, how much specific heat. I just said that if you are mixing up two things at temperature of 10 degrees centigrade and 30 degrees centigrade, then the final temperature won't be more than 30. The final temperature can't be less than 10. The final temperature has to be between 10 and 30. So it can be 13 degrees centigrade, it can be 16 degrees centigrade, it can be 20 degrees centigrade, it can be 23 degrees centigrade, it can be any number between 10 and 30. But beta, it can't be more than 30 or it can't be less than 10. So if someday after solving you get that the final temperature of this mixture is 5 degrees centigrade, this means that you have done wrong calculation. Check out your calculations. Okay, so the final temperature must lie between T1 and T2. So let's move on and do some questions based on mixing without phase change. So the first example, 2 kg of water at 80 degrees centigrade, 3 kg of water at 20 degrees centigrade and 5 kg of water at 60 degrees centigrade are mixed. Determine the final temperature of the system. So you have got 2 kg at 80, 3 kg at 20, 5 kg at 60 and you mix them up. What will be the final temperature? So you will simply visualize the three cases. The first you have got 2 kg at 80, then you have got 3 kg at 20 and then you have got 5 kg at 60. I already know the lowest temperature out of these three is 20 and the highest temperature out of these three is 80. So the final answer must be more than 20 degrees centigrade and less than 80 degrees centigrade. It should lie between 20 and 80. It should not be more than 80. It should not be less than 20. It must lie between the range of 20 and 80. So when you mix these three up, you get a common mass of 10 kg, 2 plus 3 plus 5. That will be a common mass of 10 kg. And let's say this common mass of 10 kg has a temperature T. Question is, what will be this temperature T? So here we will again write, since we are not providing any external heat, the heat given to 1 plus the heat given to 2 plus the heat given to 3 has to be equals to 0. So the final temperature must lie between 20 and 80. We will write the equation as heat given to 1 plus heat given to 2 plus heat given to 3 equals to 0. The heat given to 1 will be m as delta T, 2 into S into final minus initial, T minus 80. See beta, When I write this 2 into S into T minus 80, I know that this quantity is going to be negative. Sir, how do you know? Because I know that the final temperature will be less than 80. But beta, doesn't it make sense that heat given to 1 plus heat given to 2 plus heat given to 3 is 0 when only some of them has to be positive and some of them has to be negative? So the heat given to 1, 2 into S into T minus 80 plus heat given to 2, 3 into S into T minus 20 plus heat given to 3, 5 into S into T minus 60 has to be equals to 0. Now you can cancel out each term of S and then open a bracket. So here you will get 2T minus 160. Here you will get 3T minus 3 into 20, 60. And here you will get 5T minus 60 into 5, 300 equals to 0. So you get 2T minus 160, 3T minus 60 plus 5T minus 300 equals to 0. Bring the term of T on one side, keep it on left side. So 2T plus 3T plus 5T. On the left hand side you get 10T equals to 160 plus 60 plus 300. So 160 plus 60, 220, 220 plus 300, 220 plus 300, that will be 520. So the final temperature comes out to be 10T equals to 520, or T comes out to be 52 degree centigrade. Notice that the final temperature of 52 degree centigrade is more than the lowest temperature 20 and is less than the highest temperature of 80. It lies between the range. Always check this. This helps you to not do small errors in the paper. Let's do one more question on mixing without phase change before we move on to mixing with phase change. So, a calorimeter of water equivalent 20 gram. What is a calorimeter? A device which is used to measure the calorific values of the object. So, a calorimeter of water equivalent 20 gram contains 40 gram of water at 20 degrees centigrade. So, there is a calorimeter whose water equivalent is 20 gram and it contains 40 gram of water at 20 degrees centigrade. If 40 gram of water at 60 degrees centigrade is mixed, find the final temperature. Now, why do physicists define a quantity like water equivalent? So that you do not have to think about that body. In place of calorimeter, you should just visualize 20 gram of water. So, treat the calorimeter as 20 gram of water. The calorimeter of water equivalent of 20 gram containing 40 gram of water. So calorimeter, the beaker, acts like 20 gram of water and there is 40 gram of water inside it. So this whole system becomes equivalent to nothing but as good as having 60 gram of water. 40 plus 20, 60 gram of water, and their initial temperature is 20. And this is mixed with 40 gram of water at 60. So then you add a 40 gram of water at 60. So you have got 60 gram of water at 20. 20 gram because of calorimeter and 40 gram of water was there. So you have got 60 gram of water at 20 and you are mixing with it 40 gram of water at 60. What has to be the final temperature? So let's say beta, the final temperature comes out to be T. Now how to find this T? Very simple. Heat given to 1 plus heat given to 2 equals to 0. So the heat given to first one, the 60 gram one, will be written as 60 into S into final minus initial T minus 20 plus the heat given to 2, 40 into S into final minus initial T minus 60 has to be equals to 0. So you can cancel out S, you can cancel out 1 0 1 0, or do not cancel out 0 0. On opening you will get 60T minus 60 into 20, 1200 plus 40T minus 40 into 60, 2400 equals to 0. Now beta, 60T plus 40T becomes 100T. So 100T has to be equals to 1200 plus 2400, that is 3600. So the final temperature has to be 36 degrees centigrade. Notice that 36 degrees centigrade is less than the higher temperature of 60 and is more than the lower temperature of 20. It lies in the range between 20 and 60. So moving on, now we will talk about phase change. Let's say you have a solid placed in a beaker and you start supplying heat, because of which the temperature starts to increase. As the temperature increases, what happens? So as the temperature increases, the molecules present in the solid vibrate more vigorously. If you keep on increasing the temperature, then at a particular temperature, the solid starts to melt and some part of the solid starts converting into a liquid. So at temperature equals to melting point, the solid starts to melt. Now here you need to keep some things in mind. The first thing, at the time of melting, the temperature remains constant. So when you are providing heat, And once the object has reached the melting point, then on further providing heat, it melts, but the temperature does not increase. On further providing heat, it melts, but the temperature does not increase. So at the time of melting, the temperature remains constant. The next point, all the heat provided to the substance is used to overcome the intermolecular forces so that the solid can get converted into liquid. So this is a constant question asked. Okay, sir, once the substance starts to melt, then when you provide the heat, then on further providing heat, the temperature does not increase. Yes. If the temperature does not increase, where is the energy going? The further energy you provide is utilized to break the bond of the molecules in the solid, and the solid starts converting into liquid. So all the heat provided to the substance is used to overcome intermolecular forces. Let's study ahead. During the process of melting, the temperature remains constant. This is an important thing. Okay, at the time of melting, the temperature do not change. At the time of phase change, the temperature do not change. Now, there is something called latent heat of fusion. What is the meaning of latent heat of fusion? We need to understand it. The amount of heat required to convert 1 kg of solid at melting point into liquid is called the latent heat of fusion. Why the term latent heat? When you are converting a solid at its melting point into liquid, okay, you are providing some heat. You are providing this heat, but at the melting point, when the solid melts, you know that the temperature remains constant. So the amount of heat that you have provided is not utilized to increase the temperature. It is utilized to increase the separation between the molecules so that the solid can get converted into liquid. Is this heat utilized to increase the temperature? No. Does the temperature remains the same? Yes. So when the temperature remains the same, we say that this heat gets hidden, hence called the latent heat. Usually whenever we provide heat to the system, its temperature increases. But in this case, at the time of phase transformation, the temperature remains constant. So we call this particular heat as latent heat. It is hidden. You can't see its effect on increase in temperature. But no doubt it changes the state. It converts solid into liquid. Now, what is the definition of latent heat of fusion? The amount of heat required to convert 1 kg of solid at the melting point into liquid. So 1 kg. So if let's say for a substance, the latent heat of fusion is 500 joule per kg. It means that to convert 1 kg of this substance from solid to liquid, you have to give 500 joule. And to convert 1 kg of this substance from liquid to solid, you have to extract 500 joule. So it means that to convert 1 kg of substance from solid to liquid at melting point, you have to give 500 joule of heat. Okay, to convert 1 kg of this substance from solid to liquid at the melting point, 500 joule of heat is required. So Q equals to mass times latent heat of fusion. So how do you get? See beta, if I say for a substance latent heat of fusion is 500 joule per kg, this means that to convert 1 kg of substance from solid to liquid at the melting point, you have to give 500 joule. If I ask you, I have got 5 kg of this substance and I want to convert it from solid into liquid, how much heat has to be provided? So as to convert 1 kg, you have to give 500 joule. Then to convert 5 kg from solid into liquid, how much heat has to be provided? That will be 5 times 500. That will be 2500 joule, right? So the amount of heat required to convert from solid into liquid at the melting point is nothing but mass times the latent heat of fusion. That's why the heat given equals to mass times latent heat of fusion. In the differential format, you can write the infinitely small heat given equals to the infinitely small mass converted from solid into liquid times the latent heat of fusion. Okay. Now we can further say the latent heat of fusion of H2O, water. How much heat is required to convert ice into water? If you can remember, it's okay. If you can't, this will be given in the question. The latent heat of fusion of H2O is given as 80 calorie per gram. This means that to convert 1 gram of ice into 1 gram of water at 0 degree centigrade, you have to give 80 calorie. And to convert 1 gram of water into 1 gram of ice, to convert from water to ice, you have to extract heat. To convert 1 gram of water into 1 gram of ice at 0 degree centigrade, you have to extract 80 calorie. To convert 1 gram of ice into 1 gram of water at 0, you have to give 80 calorie. So we say that the latent heat of fusion is 80 calorie per gram. To convert from ice into water, you have to give heat. And to convert from water into ice, you have to take heat. When I say that the latent heat of fusion for H2O is 80 calorie, it means that for every gram to be converted from ice into water, you have to give 80 calorie. And for every gram to be converted from water into ice, you have to take out 80 calorie. Just like we have latent heat of fusion, in the same way we also have latent heat of vaporization. Now when I talk about latent heat of vaporization, it's for conversion from liquid to the gaseous state. The latent heat of vaporization can be understood when the system is at its boiling point. So the amount of heat required to convert 1 kg of liquid to 1 kg of vapor at boiling point. The amount of heat required to convert 1 kg of liquid to 1 kg of vapor at its boiling point. This is called the latent heat of vaporization. Now, we know that here also the heat given will be equal to mass of the substance times the latent heat of vaporization. And in differential format, dq has to be equals to dm into Lv, the latent heat of vaporization. The infinitely small mass that will vaporize dm will require an infinitely small amount of heat dq, which will be equals to dm into the latent heat of vaporization. Now, during the phase transfer, the temperature is constant. We know that the boiling point of water is 100 degrees centigrade. So once we have got water at 100 degrees centigrade and we keep on providing heat, what happens? Water starts converting into vapors. During this process of water converting into vapors, the temperature remains constant, equals to 100 degrees centigrade. The temperature neither increases nor decreases, it remains constant, equals to 100. Whatever energy you are providing is utilized to increase the separation between the water molecules, and they convert from liquid into the gaseous state. So during phase transfer, the temperature remains constant. From the basic definition of specific heat, we know that with a specific heat equals to dq by mdt. So how do you know? dq equals to ms dt. So specific heat equals to dq by mdt. During the phase transformation process, whether from solid into liquid or from liquid into gas, temperature do not change. As the infinitely small change in temperature is zero, this quantity dt becomes zero during the process of phase transformation. So we can say when the system is in the process of phase transformation, the quantity dt becomes zero, and as dt becomes zero, the specific heat becomes infinite. So beta, remember, during phase transformation, the specific heat of the system is infinite. Once more, specific heat can be written as dq by mdt. Yes, sir. During the process of phase transformation, there is no change in temperature, whether the substance convert from solid into liquid or from liquid into gas. As there is no change in temperature, dt becomes zero. As dt is zero, you can say that the specific heat has to be infinite. So remember that during the process of phase transformation, the specific heat is infinite. Now, what is the latent heat of fusion for H2? The latent heat of fusion of H2O is 540 calorie per gram. 540 calorie per gram. It means that if you have got 1 gram of water at 100 degrees centigrade, to convert it into 1 gram of steam, you have to provide 540 calorie. And to convert 1 gram of steam into 1 gram of water at 100 degrees centigrade, you have to take out 540 calorie of heat. The latent heat of fusion for water is 80 calorie per gram. The latent heat of vaporization for H2O is 540 calorie per gram. So, To convert from water into steam, you have to give heat. You have to give heat. And to convert from steam into water, you have to take out heat. So remember this thing. So as to convert from solid to liquid, you have to give heat, or take out heat, you have to give heat. So as to convert from liquid to gas at the boiling point, you again have to give heat. And to convert from gas to liquid, you have to take out heat at the boiling point. And to convert from liquid to solid, you have to take out heat at the melting point. So moving on, what is the graph of the heat provided versus the temperature of the body? So if you are plotting the graph of temperature of the body versus the heat provided, and you are starting from 0 Kelvin, the absolute zero temperature. So at absolute zero, the substance will be solid. As you keep on providing heat, the temperature of the body keeps on increasing, the temperature of the solid keeps on increasing till the time it reaches the melting point. Once the system has reached the melting point, then on further providing the heat, what happens? Sir, once the system has reached melting point, then on further providing the heat, the temperature do not increase. The temperature remains constant till the time the entire mass has melted. Once the entire mass has melted, now you have provided this much heat that all the solid has converted into liquid. Then on further providing heat, the temperature of liquid starts to increase. And it keeps on increasing till the time the temperature of liquid reaches the boiling point. Once the temperature of liquid reaches the boiling point, then on further providing heat, the temperature of the liquid remains constant. It does not increase. Then when you further provide heat at the junction, when entire liquid has evaporated, entire liquid has converted into gas, then the temperature of the gas increases. So if you think of the graph of temperature versus the heat provided, it goes something like this. At absolute zero, everything is solid. If you provide heat to solid, the temperature of solid increases till the time it reaches the melting point on the temperature scale. Once the substance has reached the melting point, then on further providing heat, the solid keeps on converting into liquid without the rise in temperature, without the change in temperature. Once you have provided sufficient heat that all the solid has converted into liquid, then on providing further heat, the temperature of the liquid starts to increase, and the temperature of the liquid keep on increasing till the time it reaches the boiling point. Once the system has reached the boiling point, then on further providing heat, what happens? It is boiling. The system has reached the boiling point, so it will start convert from liquid into vapor. During this process of phase transformation, the temperature won't change. The temperature will be constant, equals to boiling point. Now, once the entire liquid has converted into gas, then on further providing heat, the temperature of the gas will increase. So this is what the phase transformation graph looks like. Now I ask you very simple question. Try to answer each one of them. For H2O at atmospheric pressure, what can you have at minus 10 degrees centigrade? Can at minus 10 degrees centigrade you can have ice water mixture? No. At sub-zero temperature you can have only ice. At sub-zero temperature you can have only ice. So remember that if the system is at minus 10 degrees centigrade, you are not going to find ice plus water or steam, given that you are at atmospheric pressure. At temperature of minus 10, you will find only ice. At the temperature of 0 degree centigrade, what can you have? Sir, at temperature of 0 is the melting point. At temperature of 0 degree centigrade, you can have ice, yes. You can have only water, yes. Or you can have ice plus water mixture, yes. But can you have water plus steam? No. You can't have water plus steam at 0 degree centigrade. You can have ice, you can have water, or you can have ice water mixture. So at 0 degree centigrade you can have ice, you can have water, or you can have completely ice or completely water. So you can have ice plus water mixture, or completely ice or completely water. What can you have at temperature of 20 degrees centigrade? So at temperature of 20 degrees centigrade, can you have ice plus water mixture? No, sir, you can't have ice at temperature of 20 degrees centigrade, given that the pressure is atmospheric pressure. So if you are finding a system of H2O at 20 degrees centigrade at atmospheric pressure, it must be completely water. It can't have steam, it can't have ice, it has to be completely water. So for any temperature between 0 degrees centigrade and 100 degrees centigrade, at atmospheric pressure, if you find H2O, it has to be completely water. Above 100, it has to be completely steam. Below 0, it has to be completely ice. At 0, you can have ice or water or ice-water mixture. At 100, you can have water or steam or water-steam mixture. This simple thing you have to keep in mind. So, next, at 100 degrees centigrade, what can you have? You can have water plus steam, or completely water, or completely steam. Why I emphasized on this small thing? After solving question of calorimetry, students give me answer like this. Sir, 20 gram ice at 20 degrees centigrade. What a stupid answer is this? How can you have 20 gram of ice at 20 degrees centigrade? If you are having ice, the temperature should be 0 or sub-zero, right? Or students give me answer 20 gram steam at 80 degrees centigrade. You can't have 20 gram of steam at 80 degrees centigrade. If you have steam, the temperature should be 100 or above 100. Now let's do some problems to understand these phase change easily. So the first question, determine the amount of heat required to change the state from 10 gram ice at minus 20 degrees centigrade to 10 gram water at 20 degrees centigrade. So initially you have got 10 gram ice at minus 20. Definitely if you have ice, the temperature should be 0 or sub-zero, so minus 20. To 10 gram of water at 20 degrees centigrade. So how much amount of heat is required to convert from 10 gram ice at minus 20 to 10 gram water at plus 20? Here some data is given. Specific heat of ice is 0.5 calorie per gram degree centigrade. Latent heat of fusion is 80 calorie per gram. The specific heat of water is 1 calorie per gram degree centigrade. What do we want to do? We need to find how much heat is required to convert 10 gram of ice at minus 20 to 10 gram of water at plus 20. So first of all, visualize the initial state. We have got 10 gram of ice at minus 20. If we start providing heat to ice at minus 20, what will happen? So first, the temperature of ice will increase from minus 20 to 0. Ice can't melt before the temperature of 0. So as you start providing heat, the first energy provided will be utilized to increase the temperature of ice. Now how much heat has to be provided to increase the temperature of 10 gram of ice from minus 20 to 0? So let's say this heat provided to convert 10 gram ice from minus 20 to 10 gram ice at 0 is Q1. So how can we find Q1? Very easy. Q1 has to be equals to Ms delta T. Here we are not doing phase change. It is from ice to ice. We are not doing phase change, solid to solid. So the heat provided has to be Ms delta T. The mass is 10 gram, specific heat of ice is 0.5, and the temperature increases from minus 20 to 0. So the increase in temperature is 20. So the heat provided has to be M into S into delta T. And that will be equals to 10 into 10, that will be 100 calories. So 100 calorie of heat has to be provided to increase the temperature from minus 20 to 0. Then, once you have got 10 gram ice at 0, what happens next if you keep on providing heat? So sir, once we have got ice at 0, if we further provide heat, if we further provide heat, the ice starts to melt. So as to convert 10 gram of ice at 0 into 10 gram of water at 0, you have to provide heat to do the phase transformation. We know that the amount of heat required to convert from solid to liquid is given by mass times the latent heat of fusion. The mass is given as 10 gram. The latent heat of fusion is 80 calorie per gram. So as to convert 1 gram of ice into 1 gram of water. So as to convert 1 gram of ice into 1 gram of water at 0 degree centigrade, you have to give 80 calorie. We wish to convert 10 gram. When we wish to convert 10 gram, the amount of heat that has to be given has to be equals to 10 into 80, that will be 800 calorie. Then Now we have got 10 gram of water at 0. What do we want? We want 10 gram of water at 20. Now if we further provide heat to water at 0, if we provide heat to water at 0, what will happen? Sir, the temperature of water will start increasing. So how much heat has to be provided to increase the temperature of water from 0 to 20? So you will say, sir, the amount of heat required for this is, let's say, Q3, and Q3 will be equals to ms delta T. Again, there is no phase change. You have got water at 0 initially and water at 20. Finally, the phase do not change. So the heat given has to be M10 into specific heat of water 1 into delta T. The temperature increases by 20. So the heat provided has to be 200 calorie. So what will be the total heat provided? The total heat required to convert 10 gram of ice at minus 20 to 10 gram of water at plus 20 is Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. Now you can say Q1 has to be equals to ms delta T 10 into 0.5 into from minus 20 to 0 plus 20, that becomes 100 calorie. Q2, which is the amount of heat required for phase transformation from 10 gram of ice at 0 to 10 gram of water at 0. To convert 1 gram, you have to give 80 calorie. So as to convert 10 gram from ice into water, you have to give 10 into 80, that is 800 calorie. So Q2 has to be 10 into 80, that will be equals to 800 calorie. What will be the value of Q3? Q3 is again the amount of heat provided to increase the temperature from 0 to 20. So how much heat has to be provided? The heat provided Q3 will be equals to M as delta T, mass is 10, specific heat of water is 1, and we are increasing the temperature from 0 to 20, that is we are increasing it by 20. So you get 10 into 1 into 20, that is 200 calorie. So what will be the total heat provided? So 100 plus 800 plus 200. So 100 plus 800 plus 200, that will be 1000 plus 100, that will be 1100 calorie. So the total heat provided equals to 1100 calorie. Sir, I haven't understood. Do not worry. We are going to do 7-8 more questions of the same type. Keep focusing. Next example. Determine the amount of heat required to convert 20 gram of ice at minus 40 degrees centigrade to 10 gram of water and 10 gram of steam at 100. So initially you have got 20 gram of ice at minus 40 degrees centigrade. Yes. And finally from here you want to go up to 10 gram of water plus 10 gram of steam at 100 degrees centigrade. So they are asking what will be the total amount of heat required. If I initially have 20 gram of ice at minus 40 degrees centigrade and I start providing heat, what will happen? So first the temperature of ice will increase from minus 40 to 0. Then on further providing heat, the ice will melt and you will get water. Then on further providing heat, the temperature of water will increase from 0 to 100. Then on further providing heat, the water will start to evaporate. So you need to find how much heat has to be provided in each step. So let's see. So let's say we have got 20 gram of ice at minus 40. Once you start providing heat, what happens? Sir, the temperature of ice starts to increase. Up to which temperature? Up to 0. Why? Because sir, after 0, it starts to melt. At 0, it starts to melt. So we have got 20 gram of ice at minus 40. If we have to convert it into 20 gram of ice at 0, we have to provide some heat. Let's say this heat is Q1. What will be Q1 equals to? So you will say, sir, Q1 equals to M as delta T, mass of ice 20 into specific heat of ice 0.5 into the rise in temperature, which is 40. So this gives you 20 into 20, that will be 400 calorie. So you can say Q1 equals to 20 into 0.5 into 40, that will be 400 calorie. Now once you have got 20 gram of ice at 0, now you further provide it heat. What will happen? It will start to melt. It is ice at 0. You provide it heat, it will start to melt. To melt 1 gram, you have to give 80 calorie. You wish to melt here 20 gram. How much heat is required to melt 20 gram? To convert 20 gram of ice at 0 into 20 gram of water at 0, let's say you have to provide a heat Q2. This Q2 has to be equals to mass times the latent heat of fusion. Mass is beta 20 gram. Latent heat of fusion is 80. So the heat that has to be provided is 20 into 80, that will be 1600 calorie. So as to convert 20 gram of ice at 0 into 20 gram of water at 0, you have to further provide 1600 calorie. Now you will have 20 gram of water at 0. Once you have got water at 0 and you start providing heat, what will happen? So the temperature of water will increase up to which mark? Up to 100 degrees centigrade. So to convert 20 gram of water at 0 to 20 gram of water at 100, you have to further provide heat. Let's say the heat provided is Q3. So Q3 will be equals to m as delta T. The mass is 20. The specific heat of water is 1 and the temperature increases by 100. So 20 into 1 into 100. So the heat provided to increase the temperature of water from 0 to 100 is nothing but 2000 calorie. Now after providing this much of heat, 400 plus 1600 plus 2000, you have got 20 gram of water at 100. But you do not want 20 gram of water at 100. Our final state has to be 10 gram of water and 10 gram of steam at 100. So out of this 20 gram of water, you wish to evaporate 10 gram. To evaporate 1 gram, you have to give 540 calorie. So as to evaporate 10 gram, you will have to give 540 into 10, that is 5400 calorie. So if out of this 20 gram of water at 100 degree centigrade, you wish to convert 10 gram of water into steam while keeping 10 gram of water at 100, you will say the amount of heat required, let's say Q4, to convert 10 gram of water at 100 into 10 gram of steam will be equals to 10 into 540, that will be 5400 calorie. So the total amount of heat required to go from 20 gram of ice at -40 to 10 gram of water plus 10 gram of steam at 100 is nothing but 400 plus 1600, 2000, 2000 plus 2000, 4000, 4000 plus 5400, that is 9400 calories. So total heat required is 9400 calorie. This much heat has to be supplied to the substance. If you haven't got it, do not worry. Let's see the next example. If 2000 calorie of heat is provided to 10 gram of ice at -40 degrees centigrade. Once more, if 2000 calorie of heat is provided to 10 gram of ice at -40 degrees centigrade, what we will finally have? So you have 10 gram ice at -40 degrees centigrade and you provided 2000 calorie of heat. You are asking if you provide 2000 calorie of heat to 10 gram of ice at -40, what we will finally have. Okay. So visualize that you have got 10 gram of ice at -40 and you have to provide it with 2000 calorie of heat. As soon as you start providing heat to ice at -40, what happens? Sir, if I have got ice at -40 and I start providing it heat, its temperature starts to increase from -40. Up to which point? Up to 0. What special thing happens at 0? Sir, at 0 degrees centigrade, phase start to change. So when we provide heat to 10 gram of ice at -40, first the temperature of ice will start to increase. Now question is, how much heat will be required to convert 10 gram of ice at -40 into 10 gram of ice at 0 degrees centigrade? So you will say the heat required will be m as delta T. Mass of the ice is 10, specific heat of ice is 0.5 and into delta T 40. So the heat required is 10 into 0.5 into 40, 40 into 0.5 is 20, 20 into 10 is 200 calorie. So 200 calorie will be utilized to convert 10 gram of ice at -40 into 10 gram of ice at 0. So the first 200 calorie out of the 2000 calorie you are going to provide, the first 200 calorie out of the 2000 calorie you are going to provide will be utilized in increasing the temperature from -40 to 0. Now you will have 10 gram of ice at 0, to which you still have to provide 1800 calorie of energy because the first 200 has been utilized for increasing the temperature from -40 to 0. I want you to focus here. These two states are thermodynamically identical. Having 10 gram of ice at -40, to which you are going to provide 2000 calorie, is as good as having 10 gram of ice at 0, to which you are going to provide 1800 calorie. Both of them are thermodynamically identical state. Having 10 gram of ice at -40, to which you are going to provide 2000 calorie, is as good as having 10 gram of ice at 0, to which you are going to provide 1800 calorie. Now if you have got 10 gram of ice at 0, to which you are going to provide 1800 calorie. As you start to provide heat to ice at 0, what happens? So ice starts to melt. Now, to melt the entire 10 gram, how much heat will be needed? So, to melt 1 gram, we need 80 calorie. To melt 1 gram, we need 80 calorie. So, as to melt 10 gram, we will need 10 into 80, that is 800 calorie. So, if 800 calorie of heat will be needed to melt the ice, and we are going to provide 1800. So, the next 800 calorie out of this 1800 will be utilized for the phase transformation to convert the ice at 0 into the water at 0. So the next 800 will be utilized for phase transformation, and you will get 10 gram of water at 0 degrees centigrade. Now the next 800 calorie has been utilized, so you will be left with only 1000 calories. Now these two states are also thermodynamically equal. These three are thermodynamically equal. Having 10 gram of ice at minus 40, to which you are going to provide 2000 calorie, is same as having 10 gram of ice at 0, to which you are going to provide 1800 calorie, and it is same as having 10 gram of water at 0, to which you are going to provide 1000 calorie. Now what do you have? Sir, we have 10 gram of water at 0. Okay, you have got 10 gram of water at 0 and you are going to provide it 1000 calorie. Yes, when you have got water at 0 and you start providing heat, what happens? Sir, the temperature of water start to increase. Up to when? Up to 100 degrees centigrade. What special happens at 100 degrees centigrade? Sir, at 100 degrees centigrade, the water starts to evaporate. So from here, whatever heat is provided will be utilized to increase the temperature of water. How much heat will be required to increase the temperature of water from 0 to 100? The next amount of heat will be utilized for that. So the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of water from 0 to 100 will be m into specific heat of water 1 into delta T. That will be 1000. Okay. Now we are providing 1000 calorie, and exactly 1000 calorie is required to increase the temperature of 10 gram of water from 0 to 100. So on providing this further 1000 calorie, we will finally have 10 gram of water at 100 degrees centigrade. So finally we will have 10 gram of water at 100 degrees centigrade. So this is how we work around the phase transformation. If you haven't got, do not worry, keep listening, but be very careful. I will suggest you at this point, if you haven't understood examples till now, pause the video, go back, listen to the examples once again before you move on to the next example. So the next example is a simple one. If 600 calorie of heat is provided to 20 gram of ice at minus 20, if 600 calorie of heat is provided to 20 gram of ice at minus 20, what we will finally have? So initially we have got 20 gram of ice at minus 20, yeah, and we are going to provide it 600 calorie of heat. So you have got 20 gram of ice at minus 20 and you are going to provide it 600 calorie of heat. When you start providing heat to ice at minus 20, what happens? So first the temperature of ice increases from minus 20 to 0. How much heat is required to increase the temperature of ice from minus 20 to 0? Sir, m as delta T. Mass of ice 20, specific heat of ice 0.5, and delta T from minus 20 to 0, that will be 20. So here you will get 200 calorie. So out of the 600 calorie we are providing, the first 200 calorie will be utilized to increase the temperature from minus 20 to 0. So you will say the first 200 calorie, 20 into 0.5 into 20, that is 200 calorie, will be used to increase the temperature of ice from minus 20 to 0. And we will be left with 400 calorie. Out of 600, 200 has been used and we will be left with 400 calorie. So we can say these two systems are thermodynamically identical. Having 20 gram of ice at minus 20 degrees centigrade, to which you are going to provide 600 calorie, will take you to the same place as having 20 gram of ice at 0 degrees centigrade, to which you are going to provide 400 calorie. Because to convert 20 gram of ice at minus 20 to 20 gram of ice at 0, you have to provide 200 calorie of heat. Now, once you have got 20 gram of ice at 0 and you are going to provide 400 calorie, what will happen? So you have got ice at 0 and you are providing heat. The ice will start to melt. To melt the entire 20 gram, how much heat is required? Sir, to melt 1 gram, we require 80 calorie. To melt 20 gram, we will require 20 into 80 calorie, that is 1600 calorie. Are you providing more than 1600 calorie or less than 1600 calorie? Sir, we are going to provide 400 calorie. So if you are going to provide 400 calorie, will you be able to melt the entire ice? No. We require 1600 to melt the entire ice. And you are providing 1/4 of it, 400 calorie. So only 1/4 of the mass will be converted into water and rest will remain at ice. So once you have reached this point, you know that providing 400 calorie, you can't melt the entire ice, then what to do? To melt the entire 20 gram of ice at 0 degree centigrade, the heat required is 20 into 80, that is 1600 calorie. We are providing only 400 calorie. Now using this 400 calorie, the mass that will melt is the heat provided upon the latent heat of fusion. We know now Q equals to mLF. So the mass that will melt equals to Q 400 upon latent heat of fusion, that is 80. So 400 by 80, that is 5 gram. So using this heat of 400 calorie, 5 gram of ice will convert into water and the remaining 15 gram will remain as ice. So you will finally have 15 gram of ice and 5 gram of water at 0 degree centigrade. So finally we have got 15 gram ice and 5 gram of water at 0. So now we will talk about mixing with phase change. So mixing with phase change. So what is the meaning of mixing with phase change? I will start to elaborate it with one example only. First bring everything to same state and temperature and then add up. What is the meaning of this? Just keep this statement in mind. First bring everything to same state and temperature and then add them up. Keep calm. See, for example, if you have to mix 10 gram of ice at 0 degree centigrade and 10 gram of water at 40 degree centigrade. Here the first thing is ice. The second thing is water. Ice is at 0, yes. Water is at 40, yes. And you are mixing them, yes. And they are asking you what will you finally have. You will get these type of question. What to do? First bring everything to same state and temperature and then add them up. What is the meaning of it? Listen. You can say having 10 gram of ice at 0 degree centigrade is as good as having 10 gram of water at 0, from which you are going to extract 10 into 80 calorie. Once more, having 10 gram of ice at 0 degree centigrade, the first part only I am focusing, is as good as having 10 gram of water at 0, from which you are going to take out 800 calorie. If I take out 800 calorie from 10 gram of water at 0, will it convert into 10 gram of ice at 0? This is the important part. If you get this, game over. Having 10 gram of ice at 0 degree centigrade is as good as having 10 gram of water at 0 degree centigrade, from which you are going to take out 800 calorie. If you take out 800 calorie from 10 gram of water at 0, you will get 10 gram of ice at 0, right? Next, having 10 gram of water at 40 degree centigrade is as good as having 10 gram of water at 0 degree centigrade, to which you are going to provide heat. How much heat? Ms delta T. So if you provide a heat of 10 into 1 into 40 to 10 gram of water at 0, what will you get? 10 gram of water at 40. So what have I done here? I have brought both the substances to same state and temperature. Now rather than thinking of 10 gram of ice at 0, I am thinking that okay, I have got 10 gram of water at 0, from where I have to extract out 800 calorie. Rather than thinking of 10 gram of water at 40, I am thinking that I have 10 gram of water at 0, to which I am going to provide 400 calorie. Now doing this, you can do addition. Now when you add them up, you have got 10 gram of water at 0 plus 10 gram of water at 0. This becomes 20 gram of water at 0. Here you have got minus 800 calorie. Here you have got plus 400 calorie. Minus 800 plus 400 gives you minus 400 calorie. So you can think of mixture of these two as having 20 gram of water at 0, from which you are going to extract 400 calorie. If you have got water at 0 and you try to extract heat and you are taking out 400 calorie, what will you get? So if we have got water at 0 and we are extracting out heat, it will start to freeze. Now to freeze the entire 20 gram, how much heat has to be extracted? We know that the latent heat of fusion for H2O is 80 calorie per gram. To convert 1 gram of water at 0 into 1 gram of ice, you have to take out 80 calorie. So as to freeze 20 gram, you will have to take out 80 into 20, that is 1600 calorie. But sir, we are taking out only 1/4 of it. So only 1/4 of the mass of this water will convert into ice. So you will get 5 gram ice and remaining will be water at 0. Or you can say, when we extract 400 calorie from 20 gram of water at 0, some part of the water converts into ice. So 5 gram of ice is formed and the rest remains as water. So how do you know 5 gram? Beta, taking out 80 calorie will convert 1 gram of water into ice. So taking out 400 calorie, how many gram of ice you will get? So you will get 5 gram of ice, right? So you will get 5 gram of ice and the remaining water at 0 degree centigrade. So this is how we do the question of mixing with phase change. So now let's do two examples of mixing with phase change. The first example, what will we finally get on mixing 20 gram of ice at minus 20 degrees centigrade and 40 gram of water at 50 degrees centigrade? So what are we mixing? 20 gram of ice at minus 20 and 40 gram of water at 50. First of all, bring everything to same state and temperature. I am choosing water state at 0 degree centigrade. So first bring everything to same state and temperature. Having 20 gram of ice at minus 20 degree centigrade is as good as having 20 gram of water at 0 degree centigrade. Now, if I ask you, you have got 20 gram of water at 0, convert it into 20 gram of ice at minus 20. What will you do? So you'll say, sir, I have to go from 20 gram of water at 0 to 20 gram of ice at minus 20 now. I will have to take out heat. To freeze this water at 0, how much heat? So first you will have to take out 20 into 80 calorie, 1600 calorie. Now, if you have 20 gram, forget this part. If you have got 20 gram of water at 0 and from it you take out 1600 calorie, what will you get? You will get 20 gram of ice at 0. But our initial state is 20 gram of ice at minus 20. So this whole system, what is written here, 20 gram of water at 0 minus 1600 calorie represents as good as having 20 gram of ice at 0. But we want 20 gram of ice at minus 20. So you have to further take out heat. How much? Ms delta T. Mass is 20, specific heat 0.5 and the temperature difference 20. So you get 20 into 0.5 into 20. This much amount of heat has to be extracted more. So now once you have 20 gram of water at 0, from which you take out 1600 calorie to freeze it, and then by 20 into 0.5 into 20 to reduce the temperature from 0 to minus 20, you will reach 20 gram of ice at minus 20. Now, you can write the same thing as having 20 gram of water at 0, and here you get minus 1600, and here this is 20 into 10, that becomes minus 200, so this gives minus 1800 calorie. Do the maths. Now, we have brought first 20 gram of ice at minus 20 as 20 gram of water at 0, from which you have to take out 1800 calorie. Now, bring the second one also to the same state and temperature. So when you have got 40 gram of water at 50, having 40 gram of water at 50 degrees centigrade is as good as having 40 gram of water at 0. How much heat has to be given or extracted from 40 gram of water at 0 to get 40 gram of water at 50? So sir, so as to get 40 gram of water at 50 from 40 gram of water at 0, you have to provide heat. How much heat? So there is no phase change. You have to provide heat equals to Ms delta T. So how much will be that? So mass is 40, specific heat of water is 1, and the temperature difference is 50. So you will have to provide a heat of 40 into 1 into 50 to 40 gram of water at 0, so as to get 40 gram of water at 50. Now 40 into 1 into 50, this becomes 2000 calorie. Now when you add both of them up, what will you get? 20 plus 40, 60 gram of water at 0. And here beta, minus 1800 plus 2000. 40 into 50 is 2000. So this gives you 200 calorie. So think that you do not have these two things. You have got 60 gram of water at 0 to which you have to provide 200 calorie. If you have got 60 gram of water at 0 to which you are providing 200 calorie, what happens when you provide heat to water at 0? So when we provide heat to water at 0, its temperature will start to increase. Up to which point? Up to 100 degrees centigrade. To increase the temperature of 60 gram of water from 0 to 100, the heat required will be M into specific heat of water 1 into delta T, which will be 100. So the amount of heat required will be 6000 calorie, and you are providing way less than that. You are providing only 200 calorie. This means that the temperature won't rise so much. So what will be the final temperature of this system? So we will say Q equals to ms delta T. The heat we are providing is 200 calorie, and this has to be equals to 60 into specific heat of water 1 into delta T. So from here you get the rise in the temperature from 0. Delta T will be equals to 200 by 60, that will be 20 by 6, that will be equals to 3.33 degrees centigrade. So the final temperature of this system will be 3.33 degrees centigrade. You will have entire 60 gram of water at 3.33 degrees centigrade. Let's do one more question on the phase transformation. What will you finally get on mixing 30 gram of ice at 0 with 12 gram of steam at 100? So 30 gram of ice at 0 and 12 gram of steam at 100. What will you finally get? So see, first of all, bring everything to same state and temperature. I am bringing everything to water at 0 degree centigrade. So having 30 gram of ice at 0 degree centigrade is as good as having 30 gram of water at 0, and you have to take out some heat from 30 gram of water at 0 to get 30 gram of ice at 0. How much heat? Sir, mass times latent heat. Because the temperature is same, you are just changing the state. So how much heat has to be extracted? 30 into 80. Now, if you have 12 gram of steam at 100, it is as good as having 12 gram of water at 0 to which you are going to provide heat. How much heat has to be provided to 12 gram of water at 0 to convert it into 12 gram of steam at 100? So if you have got water at 0, first you have to provide heat to increase the temperature from 0 to 100, and then you have to provide heat to evaporate it. So heat has to be given to 12 gram of water at 0 to convert it into 12 gram of steam at 100. How much heat? First increase the temperature from 0 to 100. So you will provide M as delta T, 12 into 1 into 100. Then to evaporate each gram, you have to give 540 calorie. So as to convert 12 gram of water at 100 into 12 gram of steam, you have to give 12 into 540 calorie. So now you have got both the substance at same state water and at same temperature 0, and you have got certain amount of heat. Calculate the heat part. So on addition, you will get 42 gram of water at 0 plus 5280 calorie. Better do this math. This plus this minus this, you will get 5280 calorie. Now if you have got 42 gram of water at 0 and you are going to provide it 5280 calorie, what will happen? So if I have got water at 0 and I start providing heat, first the temperature of water will increase up to when? Up to 100 degrees centigrade. How much heat has to be provided to increase the temperature of 42 gram of water from 0 to 100? So 42 into 1 into 100, that is 4200 calorie. Are you providing more than that or less than that? Sir, we are providing more than that. We are providing 5280. So the first 4200 calorie out of 5280 will be utilized to increase the temperature of water from 0 to 100. So we will say out of 5280 calorie, the first 4200 calorie will be used to increase the temperature of water from 0 to 100. So what you will be left with? You will be left with 42 gram of water at 100, and out of 5280, 4200 has been used. So you are left with 1080 calorie. Now you have got 42 grams of water at 100 degrees centigrade and you are providing it heat. What will happen? It will start to evaporate. To evaporate 1 gram of water, you require 540 calorie. If you are providing 1080 calorie, how many gram of water will evaporate? So here you can directly see to evaporate 1 gram you require 540. Here you are providing 1080, so this will evaporate 2 grams. So you will say using 1080 calorie, 2 gram of water will convert into steam. So finally you will have 2 gram of steam, and rest 42 minus 2, 40 gram water at 100 degrees centigrade. So finally we will have 40 gram of water plus 2 gram of steam at 100 degrees centigrade. So the phase transformation questions are not tough. You just have to bring everything to same state and temperature, and don't do any error during the calculation. So that's all in calorimetry. See you guys next time. Bye bye.